Sup guys, it's Alex here, and the calendar has flipped to February. It is February 1st, and man, what a weekend of college basketball we just had. And you guys know, if you've been watching my channel, I am a huge Kentucky basketball fan, and what a win we just had this weekend. Went into the Fog, went into Allen Fieldhouse, absolutely dominated Kansas. I think the final score was like 80-62, but at one point it was a 20-point plus game. I'd updated the rosters and made an NCAA basketball 10 simulation on Friday. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. And Kentucky won by like 25 in that one. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, this game is rigged. You made Kentucky so much better than Kansas. Well, look what happened. It is realistic. I mean, not like 25 points versus 18 final score, whatever. But Kentucky destroyed Kansas. Kentucky is looking like a national title contender. I mean, I had them in the national championship game last time. But now they're finally getting the respect they deserve, up to number 5 in the rankings right now. But other games that were absolutely crazy. Alabama beat Baylor. That was a huge win for the Crimson Tide. And then I think that Purdue also had that crazy win over Ohio State. Jaden Ivey hitting a 3. Ohio State made a 20-point comeback to tie it up, but then Ivey ended their dreams, or crushed their dreams right there on that last second 3-point shot. But it was a great weekend of college basketball. We have flipped. It is now February. Super Bowl is only 2 weeks away. Go Bengals for that one. Who day as well. But man, only a month and a half to go until the tournament, and I could not be any more excited. I'll be going to the Indianapolis sites, both the first and second round, so we'll have like 6 total games over 2 days. It's going to be crazy, but I am super excited for that. But taking a look here at the bracket watch, top overall seed, Auburn. They survived a scare against Missouri, but I already talked about that on last week's Bracketology, or last Friday's Bracketology, and then they absolutely destroyed. I want to say it was Oklahoma. I can't remember. It was an SEC Big 12 challenge. I'm pretty sure it was Oklahoma, but Auburn recovered very nicely from that. First team out is West Virginia. They missed a great opportunity on the road against Baylor. Granted, Taz Sherman had 29 points and then went out right as the game was tied, so kind of a what could have been there, but they got to start getting wins. They are the first team out, and then the last team in is Wyoming with an at-large bid. One thing I do want to mention, if you're reading it down there, look at that. The West Coast Conference with BYU, Gonzaga, San Francisco, and St. Mary's, and then the Mountain West with Wyoming, Colorado State, Boise State, and I don't remember what the other team is off the top of my head. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank there. I think it's San Diego State. They have the same or more teams than the ACC and Pac-12. I mean, the ACC only has 1 ranked team in Duke. This is going to be a great college basketball season. The parity, no clear number 1 team. I mean, Auburn is the number 1 team right now. But, I mean, crazy things can happen in the tournament. The number 1 overall seed hasn't won in like a couple years because we had Gonzaga lost last year. Then we had Duke in 2019 because the 2021 got canceled. Then 2018, Virginia lost. 2017, maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think it was because I think North Carolina was like the 3rd number 1 seed, something like that crazy. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it should be a great college basketball tournament. On the bubble, last 4 byes are Loyola Chicago, Seton Hall, North Carolina, San Francisco. Last 4 in on the bubble are San Diego State, Florida, Creighton, and Wyoming. First 4 out are West Virginia, Oregon, Mississippi State, Florida State. A lot of big names there. And then the next 4 out are Notre Dame, UAB, SMU, and VCU. So taking a look here at the bracket, just going to bring up some major movements. We have Miami, Florida up to an 8. Florida and Wyoming new to the field there in the playing game. North Carolina up to an 11. USC down to a 7. I just don't believe in them. Same thing, Colorado State down to a 10. Kansas down to a 2 after that loss to Kentucky. Boise State up to an 8. Arkansas up to a 9. Toledo up to a 12. Then we have LSU down to a 6. They've lost like 4 out of their last 5 games. They are starting to falter here lately. San Diego State up to an 11. Creighton down to an 11. Wisconsin up to a 3, Seton Hall down to a 10. Then if we take a look here over at the South Regional, we got BYU down to a 9, Chattanooga up to a 12, Houston down to a 4, Arizona down to a 3, Lower Chicago down to a 10. They lost in a really random loss to Drake yesterday. And then Duke up to a, or Kentucky up to a 2. I don't know why I said Duke. I was looking at the other side. Kentucky up to a 2. Then over there in the East Regional, we got Purdue taking that 1 line away from Kansas. TCU and St. Mary's both moving on up as well. Marquette up to a 5. Drake new to the field as a 13 there as the automatic qualifier. Then we have Texas up to a 6. Davidson down to an 11. Indiana up to a 7. Murray State up to a 10. Murray State, I think, only has 2 losses this year. They're looking great as well. So as you guys know, every time there's a bracketology that I do, I recreate the bracket on Excel, which you can get from vertex42.com, and I give my predictions for the NCAA tournament. What I think would happen based off of this bracketology. And man, I just can't wait. There's a month and a half to go, but I just love college basketball so much. I love March Madness. I've been doing this since the beginning of the season, and we are starting to pick up steam here as the calendar moves to February. So without any further ado, let's get into the picks. So obviously we're going to have Auburn beat the winner of Southern and New Orleans. Then I'm going to go with Miami, Florida beating Oklahoma. Miami is at the top of the ACC right now. I think they're either 8-2 or 9-2 in the conference. They're looking pretty good. Illinois versus the winner of Florida and Wyoming. I think Wyoming would probably end up winning that, but I do think that the winner of that will fall to Illinois. Then I think that Providence will beat Vermont. Then I'm going to go with an upset pick right here. I'm going to go with North Carolina over Xavier. I know that I've been getting a lot of Xavier hate, or I've been giving a lot of Xavier hate. And they did beat Marquette, which is a team that I love this past weekend. But I just don't believe in the Xavier team. I don't know what it is about it, but I just don't see this team advancing very far in March. Kind of like USC, which I've been right about USC. I've had them been getting upset even when they were a 2 seed. It's just some teams I don't believe in. Some teams I believe in more than others, like Iowa State. They're a 7, but I believe in them probably more than the general consensus does. But then we're going to have North Carolina beat Xavier there. Michigan State will beat Jacksonville State. Then we're going to go with Colorado State advancing on past USC, 2 teams I don't really believe in, but why not go with an upset pick there? Kansas beating Longwood. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we got Auburn advancing past Miami. Providence, I think, will be able to beat Illinois. Then we're going to go with Michigan State beating North Carolina, and then Kansas over Colorado State. Then in the Elite Eight, Auburn advancing past Providence, and then we're going to have Michigan State, the 3 seed, advancing on past Kansas. Kansas has been struggling lately. I think they've only won by like 3 points in their previous 3 games, and then they got mauled by Kentucky, which sets up Auburn versus Michigan State here for a spot in the Final Four, and I am going to have to go with Auburn advancing to the Final Four. So then down here in the bottom left regional, we're going to have Purdue moving on here past Colgate. Then we're going to have TCU advancing past St. Mary's. TCU just had a big win this weekend over, I think it was LSU, and then they just beat Oklahoma last night as well. Marquette will move on past Iona. Tennessee will move on past Drake. Then we're going to go with Texas over Davidson. I just don't think Davidson can pull it off this year. Villanova will beat Wagner. Then Indiana will beat, I don't know who to go with here. Indiana versus Murray State. I'm going to go with Indiana just because they have Trace Jackson Davis. Then Duke will beat Princeton. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we got Purdue moving on past TCU. Marquette handling Tennessee there 5-4. Upset Villanova advancing past Texas. And then we're going to have Duke moving on past Indiana. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, I really want to go with Marquette pulling off the upset there, but I just can't do it. Purdue is just too talented. They will move on past Marquette. And they will face the winner of Villanova and Duke, which I think would be Duke, which sets up Purdue and Duke in the Elite Eight. This game should be really good. But I am going to go with the Blue Devils in Coach K's final season, advancing here to the Final Four. So we're going to go back up here to the top right regional. Gonzaga is obviously going to be Hawaii. Then we're going to go with Boise State hanging on against Arkansas. Arkansas went from being out of the tournament to now a 9 seed. They are turning it on lately. Then we're going to go with Ohio State over Toledo. Texas Tech advancing past South Dakota State. Then as San Diego State, I'm going to pick them beating Creighton and then beating LSU. LSU's lost like 4 out of their last 5 games. I think they are ripe for an upset. I think San Diego State could get it done. Wisconsin will be Oakland. Then we're going to go with Seton Hall upsetting Iowa. Both teams are kind of falling off recently. Seton Hall down to the last 4 byes, and Iowa have just been losing a lot lately. They just lost to Penn State last night. UCLA will beat Seattle. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, it's going to be Gonzaga moving on past Boise State. Texas Tech advancing past Ohio State, which they have a big game. Texas Tech versus Texas tonight. Ooh, Chris Beard's return to, I think it's Lubbock is where Texas Tech is. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but that game is going to be pretty big. Then we're going to have Wisconsin moving on past San Diego State, and then UCLA advancing past Seton Hall. Then Gonzaga will beat Texas Tech there, and that should be a really good game, Gonzaga versus Texas Tech. Then they will face the winner of Wisconsin and UCLA, which I think would be UCLA, which sets up the rematch Gonzaga versus UCLA. This game should be really, really good. I don't know off the top of my head who's going to end up winning that, but I think I am going to go with the 1 seed this time around. I picked UCLA the past couple of times. Why not switch it up and go with Gonzaga there? So moving on down to the final regional here, Baylor will advance past the winner of Norfolk and UNC Wilmington. Wake Forest will handle BYU. Alabama, the hot and cold team, will beat Chattanooga. And then Houston will beat North Texas. Then I'm going to go with San Francisco pulling off the upset there over UConn 11-6. Arizona will move on past Weber State. Iowa State will beat Loyola Chicago, and Kentucky will beat Appalachian State. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, Baylor will advance past Wake Forest. Alabama, they already beat Houston earlier this year, 5-4 upset. I think they can get it done. Then Arizona will beat San Francisco, and then Kentucky will beat Iowa State. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, Baylor versus Alabama. Alabama just proved that they could beat Baylor. Granted, it was at Alabama's home court. I don't know what to... Actually, you know what? It's February 1st. Why not have some fun with it? We are going to have Alabama pulling off the upset over Baylor and advancing to the Elite Eight 5 seed. Arizona versus Kentucky, rematch of a national championship game from the late 90s. Kentucky will advance there, and then Kentucky will beat Alabama to advance to the Final Four. So we have 2 1 seeds and then 2 2 seeds as well here in the Final Four. So we'll start off with the first one here, Auburn versus Duke. I do think that Auburn will end up winning that one. Duke probably has, actually, I was about to say Duke probably has more talent, but Auburn probably has, right now, maybe the favorite for the number 1 overall pick, Jabari Smith. I mean, you got, in this Final Four, you got Auburn, Jabari Smith, Duke with Paolo Banchero, and then you got Chet Holmgren over there for Gonzaga. I mean, Ty Washington, too, for Kentucky. He's not going to be in the race for number 1, but he's going to be a top 10 pick. And speaking of Kentucky, I got them advancing past Gonzaga here, which sets up Auburn versus Kentucky, the rematch here in the national championship game. As much as I want to pick my Kentucky Wildcats to win, I mean, you got to go with... I mean, they did have a 9-point lead when Ty Washington went out. As much as I want to pick my Kentucky Wildcats there, I don't think I can do it. I got to have Auburn winning the national championship there. Though things could change. I'd love to see a rematch between these 2 teams. I mean, hopefully we can get one in the SEC tournament. We'll kind of see what happens with that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of my predictions in the comment section below. Let me know your own predictions and thoughts and all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all later.